Days to the draft. We are counting it down. Let's do a feature called Trading Places. And Graz, I'll start with you. And we touched on this a moment ago. At number 3, the Arizona Cardinals sitting there. What are you hearing about trade possibilities?
I think they'd like to be able to do it and add more picks, but the question is who's willing to come up and for whom. So this could depend on what the Jets do at number 2 and who's still left at 3. As I mentioned earlier, I think there are teams that might make a move up if Arvell Reese is still sitting there at 3. I think there are teams that might make a move up to try and get ahead of Tennessee for Jeremiah Love. Obviously, it's also possible that the Cardinals sit tight and pick one of those guys.
That's the one, yes. I mean, almost every mock that we have seen has the Cardinals taking Arvell Reese or David Bailey, whichever one the Jets don't take. But if teams really fall that much in love with Jeremiah Love, that would be the spot, it feels to me, to go get him and have it be safe.
Sure,
Jets aren't going to take him. The Raiders aren't going to take him. Tennessee remains sort of the big, no one is 100% sure what they're going to do. If you really want him, I feel like you got to go up to 3 to get him.
I agree. That's the ideal spot because, look, you have a first-year head coach in Mike LaFleur. You have a gazillion needs. So you are not a Jeremiah Love away or a pass rusher away if you're Arizona. If you could trade back and still be in that sweet spot, call it 7, 8, 9, you're going to get a really good player and load on picks. That's a great idea.
Yeah, D. Wood, can you trade up to 3 for a running back? I mean, if you're...
That's the question.
Can a team in this day and age trade up to 3 to take a running back?
Man, that's a hard pill to swallow. You better have... Your line better be ready to have a player like Jeremiah Love if you're going to trade up to 3. It's just... Those guys coming in, if you're going to trade up to 3, man, it's got to be a guy that's going to make an impact right away, that's going to make a difference maker on your team. So, like, do you have that type of team that's going to be able to help this young man? It's a hard pill to swallow, but it could happen because he's a blue-chip guy.
Okay, so we've got that one there. Let's get next to the Jets. We talked about them. They're at 2. They're at 16.
Yeah.
Could they be a candidate to trade up in this class?
I think so. They have so many picks this year and next that they have the ability to maneuver however they want. If you're the Jets and you have, like, this is hypothetical, but if you have, like, the top 2 wide receivers in whatever order, and then you see a drop-off after that, and you're worried both those guys are going to be gone, then I think that's when you start to think about making this move to go up and make sure you get a Carnell Tate or a Jordan Tyson if that's your top 2, and if you think number 3 is way beneath them.
Yeah, people ask me all the time, what do you want the Jets to do? And I always say, the Jets have so much draft capital that what that gives you is flexibility. Yes. So I don't know who they like, and I'm not an expert enough to tell you who they should like. But what they clearly need is another wide receiver, so you got to figure out how much is the difference between someone like Omar Cooper.
The NFL draft is days away. And the Get Up crew just broke down the biggest question in the top 10. Should the Dallas Cowboys trade up from 12 and 20 to get Sonny Styles? And Damien Woody had a strong opinion. Let me break it all down. First, let's talk about the Arizona Cardinals at number 3. Dan Graziano said they'd like to trade back and add more picks. The question is who's willing to come up and for whom. If Arvell Reese is sitting there at 3, teams might make a move. If Jeremiah Love is still there, teams might try to get ahead of Tennessee. Or the Cardinals could just sit tight and pick one of those guys. Mike Greenberg pointed out that almost every mock draft has the Cardinals taking Arvell Reese or David Bailey. But if teams really fall in love with Jeremiah Love, that's the spot to go get him. The Raiders aren't taking him. Tennessee is the big unknown. If you really want Love, you got to go up to 3. Now, Damien Woody was asked the tough question. Can a team in this day and age trade up to 3 for a running back? He said, that's a hard pill to swallow. You better have your offensive line ready. Trading up to 3 for a running back. It's got to be a guy who's going to make an impact right away, a difference maker. Do you have that type of team that's going to be able to help this young man? It's a hard pill to swallow, but it could happen because Jeremiah Love is a blue-chip guy. Now let's get to the Jets. They have picks 2, 16, and 33. Dan Gr. Oziano said they have so many picks this year and next that they have the ability to maneuver however they want. If the top 2 wide receivers are head and shoulders above the rest, then you think about moving up. But Mike Greenberg made the counterpoint. He said that's exactly why you don't trade up this year. There are so many good receivers. Mekhi Lemon, Omar Cooper, Denzel Boston, Zachariah Branch. If you're the Jets with all the other things they need, this is not the year you need to trade up for a receiver. Damien Woody agreed. He said it too, he's definitely getting a pass rusher. They traded away Jermaine Johnson. At 16, that's wide receiver. They need another wide receiver outside of Garrett Wilson and A.D. Mitchell. At 33, that's a prime trade down spot because teams will be looking to make a deal. Now let's get to the Cowboys. This is the one that got everybody buzzing. Mel Kiper forecast a huge trade in his final mock draft. The Cowboys at 12 and 20. Dan Graziano said if the Cowboys have a list of impact defensive players that they really like and they're afraid one won't fall to them, then they have the capital to move up. But he doesn't believe the Cowboys are eager to trade both of their first-round picks to move up. That's why the key element in Mel's proposed trade was Cleveland also sending back number 39 in the second round. So Dallas moves down from 20 to 39 and moves up to get Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, or Mansour Delane. The Cowboys are a disciplined drafting team. They won't be reckless. But they have their eye on a certain group of defensive players. Mike Greenberg added that the Cowboys' next pick after 20 is 92. That's a long time to sit and see 72 players come off the board before you pick again. So trading up is a big decision. Now let me tell you about Sonny Styles. Damien Woody said, he is unbelievable. When you talk to quarterbacks, they talk about the length of that middle linebacker. Because they have to run down the middle of the field on Tampa 2 coverages. Sonny Styles is 6 feet 5 inches and ran a 4.46. He's a former safety, so he has range. He plays really aggressively. He's a great tackler. He is going to be a great player. The panel compared him to Fred Warner. And then Dan Graziano took it a step further. He said the player comp they gave for Sonny Styles on their podcast was Brian Urlacher. Brian Urlacher was a converted safety who became a linebacker. He had that range. He could go side to side. He was the one guy who could chase down Michael Vick and take an angle on him. That's the level of athlete we're talking about. So here's the debate. Damien Woody said the Cowboys aren't one player away. Their defense needs a lot of help. He's not giving up 12 and 20 to move up. He's going to sit there and take whoever falls to him. But if Sonny Styles starts to fall, now he's going to see what he can do to go get the guy. Because Sonny Styles is exactly what the Cowboys need on defense. He's a guy that'll get everybody else organized. A great player who can elevate the good players you have on the defensive side of the ball. So if you're going to trade 12 and 20, you've got to get at least one day 2 pick back in return. And in Mel's proposed trade, they get 39 back. That makes it palatable. Mike Greenberg asked the perfect question. How do you weigh getting one player who is an enormous difference maker against having a whole bunch of good ones? Damien Woody answered that the one player has to be a Hall of Famer. He's got to be able to score touchdowns. He's got to be able to sack the quarterback. Or he has to be an elite, once-in-a-generation Darrelle Revis type. And that's the one box Sonny Styles doesn't check. He plays off-ball linebacker. That's not a premium position like edge rusher or cornerback. So that's why Woody would be somewhat reticent to trade up. But here's the counter. A Brian Urlacher type middle linebacker who can run sideline to sideline, cover tight ends, and be the quarterback of the defense. That changes everything for a defense. The Cowboys have been searching for that guy since Sean Lee left. They've tried Micah Parsons there, but he's better on the edge. They've tried Damone Clark, Leighton Vander Esch, but injuries and inconsistency have plagued them. Sonny Styles could be the green dot player they've been missing. The guy who gets everyone lined up. The guy who makes the plays. The guy who makes everyone around him better. Alright, let me wrap this up with some questions for you. Drop your takes in the comments. 1. Should the Cowboys trade 12 and 20 to move up for Sonny Styles, or stay put and take 2 players? 2. Is Sonny Styles the next Fred Warner, or is that comparison too optimistic? 3. Should the Jets trade up for a wide receiver, or is this draft too deep to make that move? 4. Is it worth trading up to 3 for a running back like Jeremiah Love in today's NFL? I'll read the best comments in the next video. Smash like if you think the Cowboys should make the trade. Hit subscribe if you believe Sonny Styles is a future All-Pro. And comment your mock draft for the top 10 picks right now. Let's go.